What it do, everybody?
Happy,
Happy
last day of the convention, Democratic National
Dang, she
Convention.
really just threw it out there. Happy last day of the DNC if everyone's been tuned in, tapped in.
And if you haven't, where have you been? But okay.
I watched the RNC too because I be wanting to know what's up. Anyway, given that we are in a interesting political climate, are you feeling any of the any of these type of ways? It doesn't have to be about politics per se, but I know for certain people,
Not
the
so
anxiety is.
we can talk about that.
Well, now,
yeah,
anyway,
now.
Are you feeling any sort of disconnected, burnt out, stressed, wounded in any way, emotionally, physically? I am physically wounded, and I feel it every day. That's neither here nor there. Lacking a purpose, overwhelmed with any of the demands and responsibilities of your everyday life. Several hands up. Um, are you on information overload? Are you on distraction overload?
Several hands up.
Are you looking for peace, a little rejuvenation, a chance to connect on a deeper level? Do you just need to take a little bit of time to focus on what actually truly matters to you? Not everyone else, just to you. Then you should for sure stick around if any of those things resonated with you as they've resonated with us, because we gonna be sticking around. This episode is for you, boy.
Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman.
Welcome to Truthful Chats. Cups up. Shout out to the Woman Evolve team.
We on our way.
Why? Because we need some of what today's topic is in our own personal lives, and that's where we've chosen to go and do it. Anyway, welcome Truthful Chats. These are some chats online in podcast format designed to engage us on the ongoing practice of creating generational wellness. If you're like, create generational wellness sounds amazing, never heard of it before, that's great, because it's our term. Therefore, if you hear anybody in the streets using create generational wellness and it has no attachment to the brand, Truthful Chats, Pam and Jess, there's just no mention of us. Right? Anyway, there's a description of create generational wellness, a longer description somewhere around wherever you're watching this video or listening to this podcast. So at Create Generational Wellness, we have a theme every single month, and then the Truthful Chat is our weekly offering where we unpack the theme just a little bit more. It's still August, if you can believe it.
And it's another week of August.
Which is crazy. August just came in here
it's
and did.
The long, laziest month of the summer. That's what I'm going to
There's a couple more months left. It hasn't been as hot. It's been hot. Today, it hasn't been as hot. Okay, in the Los Angeles area, but Lucifer's definitely been vacationing here. So the theme for August is rest, which is applicable because I stay inside whilst the sun is out and I go out when it's down. So
like Palm Springs living.
Listen, the theme for August is rest, and if you clicked on today's video, today's chat is rest your spirit to engage your power. Okay. Yes. So if you are just now joining us, this is your first ever Truthful Chat. Welcome. If you're an OG, salute. You're a real one. But if you haven't been here, we have been spending the month of August talking about rest because we discovered this incredible Black woman named Dr. Saundra Dalton. This is really her idea. Smith, sorry. Dr. Saundra Dalton Smith. As I was looking at it, it still didn't register. Does that happen to anyone else's brain besides mine? Sometimes it just does what it wants. Anyway, Dr. Saundra Dalton Smith, this incredible Black woman who is a physician, researcher, author, and speaker. This is her idea. So if you weren't here last week, I definitely typed in the 7 types of rest, and Calm had a thing, and Psychology Today, well, she might have written that. I didn't click on it. But what I saw was a lot of co-opting of a Black woman's idea. Okay.
That was nice the way you said
and not a whole lot of credit being given. So this is from her website. You can just Google her. This should come up. She's been featured in Fast Company, MSNBC, CNN, Inc., all that. So these are the 7 types of rest we've been talking about. This came straight from this Black woman's Instagram page. Like I said, we don't steal or pirate over here. We give credit where credit is due. So physical, mental, sensory, creative, emotional, social, and spiritual rest. So we are on the 7th of the rest. We've actually talked about all of these. I think we did like 2 at a time. But today we're only doing 1 because it's extensive. And then we're going to talk about what these actually mean. So what type of rest do you need? Go back. I don't quite remember in what order we did these things, but you'll see them. It's somewhere in the title. So physical rest, which we usually think is just sleep, which it is, but it's also doing restorative activities. Those can be passive activities or aggressive activities, like things that are like aggressive exercise, like actually exercise. Mental, slow down, give your brain a little bit of a break. We all need that all the time, several times a day. Sensory is unplugging from the screens, the noises, the lights, the things. Like when you sleep in, it should be no distractions. You should just be resting. And sensory, again, doesn't just have to be sleep, just maybe you off your phone for 20 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is. Creative, appreciating the beauty in nature, and art. So giving time for your creative energies and juices to come to the surface. Emotional, taking time to feel and express your feelings. Okay, taking time to feel them and express them. I just want to point out those are 2 different things. Feel your feelings and then express your feelings. Okay. Social rest.
That's a good point.
Social rest, also a twofer. Get solitude. So that's spend some time by yourself. And time with positive people. Again, it's a twofer. Okay. Get solitude. That means take some time to be by yourself and spend time with positive people. So you should be doing both. If you're doing one or the other, or not enough of one or the other, you probably will be off balance. And then spiritual, which is cultivating belonging, love, purpose, etc. And spiritual rest is actually what we're going to be talking about today. It's the last rest. So let us jump in to it. So there's a lot we can do. I feel like we talked about belonging.
Wait. You have to talk about, do you have Miss Dalton's books and things?
Oh, yeah. I do have those. So these are, we believe in bundles. The hair kind and every other kind. Bundles.
Oops.
So this is the Rest and Freedom bundle from the Black Queen, Dr. Dalton Smith, who again, these are her. The 7 types of
sacred
rest. 7 types of rest are her idea. I just want to continue to point that out. I just, they like to erase us from our stuff. So anyway, you have Sacred Rest, which I think is the book where all of these rests come from. And then Set Free to Live Free. I don't know what that book's about, but it's breaking through the 7 lies women tell themselves. That just sounds like a book I need in my life.
Listen,
period.
The first lie you tell yourself is, I don't need no rest. I got this. That's
I've
lie
never
number 1.
Ascribed to that, but
well,
I'm not a wife or a mother. Maybe that's just, in certain things. Or a business woman. I be doing things, but I'm a person who fully believes in rest. Like, you could call me lazy. You could talk about
fully
me later.
Believe.
Baby, you ain't gonna. And I know everybody's like, well, you can rest when you're dead. No. If that's how God intended things to be, then that's how it will be. I just know I'm supposed to shut it down at a particular point in time. Okay. So, anywho, those are the 7 rests. We just want to do a quick little recap, which we've been doing before we start diving into today's rest, because we don't want you to be like, but what are the other ones? So we did a little overview. You can go back throughout the month of August to see the ones we've already done. But today is all spiritual rest. Everything, baby.
Right. It's about nourishing your soul, taking time to connect with your inner selves. And some of us, that includes a higher power. For some of us, some of y'all, whatever your higher power is, the universe, God, ancestors,
nature.
We're not trying to come for you in your higher power. We're just saying you need to connect with
I'm
one.
not trying to colonize your faith.
Okay.
Between
you
and your Lord.
All right. So it's about finding the methods that help your soul find peace. Quiet your heart. Get somewhere, be still, like your mom and them used to tell you. Get somewhere and sit down.
That was a little different. They just didn't want you to be.
You know what? But maybe it wasn't. Maybe they were trying to get some spiritual rest.
Oh, maybe.
And they
just wanted you out of the room. But
they might have had a need for spiritual rest and they were not.
I don't know about spiritual rest. Perhaps mental rest, sensory rest.
All of it. And they were not as evolved enough to have the conversations like we have with our children now. Don't you feel like you need to get into
Shout
a
out to the
space?
gentle
To the
parenters.
gentle parenting people. So for them, it was just go somewhere and sit down and be still. So carving and be still was always a part of it. Now that I think about it. All right. So when you carve out this space and the time to tap in,
This is good.
and did we clink? Oh yeah, we did, but we didn't talk about what we were drinking.
We can talk about what we were drinking.
Oh yeah, it's sweet tangerine Italian soda.
Shout out to Brandon for this.
Mm-hmm.
He came and visited us this week, and he always brings rest, rest and snacks,
some kind of rest. Anyway, carve out the space to tap into that place that is feeling like it's on fire on the inside of you, and burning, and
fire.
You know, sometimes you feel like that. You feel like
you're on fire.
Like inside, there's something just going on and on and on. And you got to be like, shh, be quiet. You got to tell yourself to be quiet. All right.
That's why it's about nourishing your soul.
Yes. Give you the strength to face whatever's coming up, the challenges, the demands, the expectations, of which there are a lot, as we well know.
It's life.
Yeah.
Again, spiritual rest is just quieting the outside noise, and it is cacophonous. So you focus on the inside, listening to your higher power, listening at a higher frequency, period. I think people think that, we believe in God. So usually I'm quieting my mind and body and everything else, so I can be clear in my own focus with myself, but also providing opportunity to listen to God, of course, but also to myself, to be like, I might have gone to sleep and I might have been really pissed about something. And like we always talk about, just because your body sleep don't mean your brain is asleep. So if that was on my mind before I went to sleep, my brain is still back in the background trying to figure that thing out. Like, what should I do? How can we do it? How can we fix it? So sometimes if I'm still or quiet in the morning, in a prayer time or in a reflective meditative time, you get a lot of problem solving done because you're just listening at a higher frequency, because you're not all in the sensory world.
The cacophony.
The cacophonies of the sensory stuff and everything going around you. And it's interesting. Spiritual rest actually includes a lot of things we've already sort of talked about this month, right? Mental rest, which again, shutting it up, giving your mind, literally giving your mind a break. Like we said, from chatter, demands, all the stimuli, because you're trying to attain peace in your thoughts, right? I think we always have a lot of things that's constantly going on in our minds, but it doesn't help when we start taking on other people's thoughts and ideas too, which is really what social media and algorithms and
television,
all the other things. You just are always constantly ingesting somebody else's ideas. And so mental rest is really taking a break from the chitter chatter of everybody else's things, but also the chitter chatter in your own mind, to be like, okay, let me just quiet everything. Shut it, Mary Warren, so that you can be in just a more stable, quiet state. Okay, so we talk about this all the time in terms of like, you can meditate, nature walks, yoga, prayer, whatever your thing is, but the goal is really to connect you with your inner world, right? But also so you can feel grounded to the world around you, in a way that feels secure and feels sacred, but is devoid of all the craziness that comes with it, right?
Like, sacred is a good word.
There's something to be said for like this. Probably I know it's happened to me. It's probably happened to you. Like, have you ever just laid outside and been still enough to actually watch the clouds move? Like that level of stillness, so that you really feel like physically connected to the earth. Because at least in LA, we're usually always in our cars. If you live in a very transient city, you're usually always walking somewhere. But like really taking time
on the train.
Yeah, you're always moving, but really taking time to be still and feel connected to the other billions of people on the planet and the creatures on the planet and the ocean and all of the things, right? Sitting on the floor is also a great thing for me. Me and Jesse do that all the time, where we just be like, we just finna sit on the ground, because it helps me feel grounded and secure.
It does.
Emotional rest, just taking a step back again, like we said, so you can feel your feelings and express your emotions in safe, emotionally healthy spaces and with safe, emotionally healthy people. And we talk about doing that by journaling, right? Again, talking to trusted people, friends, family, and really any kind of form of self-care that allows you to either be in the practice of expressing your emotions and your feelings, or once you got expressed them to yourself or got them down or however you're doing, then you're either taking the time to be with yourself or share that information with other people.
And if you don't feel like you have some trusted people, go back. We have some episodes about that last year.
We have a lot of episodes
A
about that
lot
actually.
of that about how do you change your circle or look at your circle and figure out if the people that are in your circle are trustworthy,
Worthy or no.
comfortable, how they fit into your life or don't fit into your life,
Correct.
putting it in the proper perspective so that you know when you get into these places where you need this emotional and mental rest, you know who to go to for that and who you know who you can't.
Correct.
No
And
harm, no foul,
no
no
harm, no foul,
shade.
no shade, no
Just
shade.
understanding who it is that is a place where you can get some emotional and mental and spiritual
Because
rest.
the reality is, if you take your mental and emotional rest to the wrong people, they could send you back in the spiral of
Yep,
craziness,
it'll be bad.
and it will be null and void. And again, mental and emotional rest are not selfish, right? They're not overindulgent things. They're necessary, okay, in maintaining the balance of yourself. So, mental and emotional rest are big parts of spiritual rest or soul rest, which is again nourishing your soul, connecting with something greater than ourselves, because we're actually in the practice of expanding our capacity to experience the divine and whatever divine means to you. But experiencing the divine and also finding, I would say, mental and even emotional peace and the fact that the divine is always with you, right? Like you're going through this experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There's a
if you believe
comfort
in
in
that
that.
sort of
Yeah,
thing, there's
there's
a
a
comfort
comfort.
in knowing, like, okay, I'm not alone doing all the 9,200 things or alone in the stress, or maybe you in a really great season, right? There, the divine is with you in joy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And celebratory things, like that's why we love weddings and birthday celebrations, and like it ain't just like for the bad times, for the good things too. Is to have that clarity so that you can enjoy those things, right? So you're not just sort of going through the motions, but being present in the happy times too. And this can be done through prayer, right? There's a lot of other forms of religious meditations and things, and just other practices that we'll talk about as well. Um, so that is prayer, meditation, communing with ancestors,
The ashe.
nature. Shout out to the Ashes and the Hoteps and I'm not even gonna say that because that sounds bad. African morals and African spirituality, which
Yes.
I'm learning a lot about for myself. And it really is a beautiful practice. Like, and there are some things that I'm gonna use the word co-opt again, have been co-opted by others that are actually African morals and spiritual practices. That I'm just now learning to be like, oh,
Oh,
we did it first and better.
as usual.
But we did it first. So do your research. I know in the Black community we like tend to like tee about that, but like really, African morals and spiritual practices are great,
More,
and
yeah.
they're not all demonic and scary, and like that's a lot of our undoing and unlearning, particularly as Black Americans who have been very westernized.
Some things
It,
that
that
are
we've learned
powerful
that
that
are
work
powerful,
in our
that
traditions
are our culture, that
and if used properly.
are not
And everything, if you
juxtaposed.
use it
That's
properly.
everything. That's everything.
Or if you mess it up. It's
And
how you use it.
Christianity was in Africa prior to the Caucasoids and the Caucasians coming through. We don't have time to get into that, but go back to our Black History Month episodes, which we were just talking about.
Yeah, we
So
love our Black History
we
Month.
did a little something for you. Anyway, so whether you're doing communing with the ancestors out in nature, engaging in some sort of philanthropic work or community service or anything that really makes you feel connected
Sense of
to your
purpose.
purpose
Yeah.
is important. And you're doing these things and engaging in mental, emotional, spiritual rest, soul rest, not so that you can necessarily escape life's problems, right? That's why people be drugging and sexing their life away and doing all manner of foolishness to try to like escape life's problems or numb themselves from life's problems. But spiritual rest is really about figuring out how to get aligned and in tune and engage in a reliance on the higher power so that you can find the strength, the guidance, and the support for whatever said thing is that you're dealing with, whether it be job stuff, life stuff, demand stuff, relationship stuff, kids, family, marriage stuff, whatever the things are, money stuff, right? When you're constantly, it's all the things all the time. What I'm doing is putting my hand all around Pammy's head, if you're listening, in a cacophonous craziness level of all the things, right? When all of that's going on,
I
and this
am a
noise
recovering workaholic
and
for
all the
those of
things.
you who do not know that.
You can't. That's what I said. Sex and drinking and working away. Okay. Sometimes I be trying to work it away.
I'm a recovering workaholic.
Like Solange knows them write a whole song about that. Okay. Cranes in the sky. All right.
Yes. All right.
So, anywho, saying all that to say, take the time to do the thing. So rest is very important. And again, it is a tool that when practiced well, right, and often, because consistency is key, it'll unlock some things for you to be able to deal with all the other stuff that you think is really important. Because that's the thing. We think all the other stuff is so important that we neglect this, but this is actually the most important thing. And then all the other things line up, which is actually a verse of scripture.
Yeah. Seek you first, kingdom of heaven, all these things will be added.
Jesus was trying to put you on game. Y'all be trying to make it something that's not. There's a lot of game there if you're tapped in.
But listen, with the world being as fast as it is, as it is.
As
like,
this is. Shout out to never
no.
mind.
Yeah. But you know, it's fast paced. And so sometimes the hardest thing is to do nothing. Especially if you're a recovering workaholic.
Pam Williams.
Like I am. Doing nothing is very challenging. But spiritual rest and inner peace lies in the art of doing nothing. So I am trying and I'm working very.
This person is a Sunday school teacher, though. This is the thing about westernized Christianity. I don't know how we got
rest
here.
And inner peace place.
How we got here? The Christians will work themselves to a tizzy. They really
I know they will. I don't know how it happened like that, but anyway.
And it's literally westernized Christianity. Because if you start to listen to what some of the other peoples is doing in other places, you know, if they're not missionary and doing all that, like that's really not the point. We'll talk about the Sabbath and all that later. But like that's literally in the like tenets and commandments. Whether you are
remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy,
a Christian. And I don't know that much about the Muslims, but I'm sure y'all got it too. Okay,
yeah.
You in the
take a rest.
in the religion big three, Sabbath and rest and doing nothing is important. So how that translates into our spiritual spaces, into serving all the time is crazy to me. But anyway,
an aside,
I'm off my soapbox.
Yes. So the calm that you're often looking for is found in the stillness. And if you can't get to some sort of practice that helps you personally cultivate stillness, then you're going to miss the calm. It's just like they kind of go together. So the stillness isn't just about not moving and being quiet. It's about embracing a state of being where you're not trying to manipulate an outcome and you're not striving for things.
That right there is a whole word.
Listen, you're not trying to manipulate the outcome and you're not striving.
Because isn't that what you're doing?
To see what it's going to be.
We don't like to say it like that because that sounds bad. Manipulation just sounds bad. But yeah, you like, what can I do to move things around, to do things so that I get the outcome that I want?
Well, we always like to say, I'm playing chess. I ain't playing checkers. You know what I mean? And it's not, you just, you say it all the time. We say it all the time. And we don't think of it as a negative thing. We think of it as proper planning, Proper planning creates preparation.
Proper planning prevents poor performance.
Poor performance. We have all these sayings about.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but yeah. I think the manipulation part is we think is basic math. If I plan like this, then that means I'm gonna get this outcome, and you're not. And sometimes you need the spiritual rest because you be doing too much of that. You be like, I don't plan, and it don't happen, and that's because God or the ancestors or nature or just life in general, the universe trying to get your attention to be like. Maybe you don't run me.
I'm trying to tell you something.
You don't run nothing, really. It's a part of humility in a spiritual practice.
Yes. But. And when you practice the stillness, you develop more self-awareness. So self-awareness is just being honest with yourself about where you are, who you are, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Like, if you can't be honest, you cannot, and admit where you are right now without judgment, you can't get to the quiet, the soft, the still place.
Sorry.
What had happened?
Sorry, I did that. I realized my phone is dying and I wanted to charge it.
Yes. All right. So,
never mind.
Can't
get it.
Admit where you are now without the judgment, and then you can move into the part of spiritual rest that lets you think about your true purpose. Like, yeah, that part. Because when you're doing, you sometimes forget the why of why you're doing it, which is the purpose of what it is. And sometimes when you go back to
Hamster
the
wheeling.
purpose, you go, wait a minute,
I
I'm
don't even
off
care about that
on a
that much.
tangent. I'm over here. I'm doing this thing, and not the thing that I was supposed to be doing. So when you center yourself and you get in those quiet moments, you will hear the voice of God, the whisper of your soul, guiding you back to what really matters. And again, go back and listen to some old episodes because we talked about listen to some old episodes because we talked about how to develop your values and your belief system, and we sometimes call it your North Star. You have to always know where your North Star is, and then follow that. And sometimes in the noise, again, you forget where you're going. You're going. You'd be like, wait a minute, where, you ever get on autopilot driving your car and you
Sure
thought
do.
you were,
I'd be like, where are you going?
you thought you were driving to one person's house and you really were supposed to be going to somewhere else, but your car just, you're like, wait a minute, where am I supposed to be going? I was going to Target. Why am I at Walmart? So surrendering that constant need to do gives you the opportunity to just be. And when you are in that place, now you've opened up space for higher possibilities and other things to come in and kind of take root. I think that's what I want to say. Take root. Like, what are you singing?
Just my girl. Let's just be.
Oh.
Written by Neo, performed by Dio, but actually given to Miguel. Check it out on the Google. It's a good time.
Anyway, get quiet so the thing can take root again and you can start walking back into your purpose.
Can't you tell she grew up in church? Get in the root. Get to the root. The root.
I'm going to talk about it some more. But go ahead.
All right. So in spiritual rest, we got to also talk about spiritual practices, right? In the religious forms and context. And we talked about it a little bit, but observing the Sabbath, like I said, I think, especially for the Jews and the Christians, that's like a core tenet of the faith, right?
God rested on the
seventh day, therefore you rested, right? Have the Sabbath
People
day,
have a difference between which one,
which
day is the seventh, but
is it Saturday or Sunday? Is it the Sunday? Is it idol worship? Is it done? It does. I don't know that God really cares about the semantics.
He just said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So keep you a Sabbath and
get
you a Sabbath and
that needs
keep
to be
it.
A t-shirt. Get you
a Sabbath and keep it.
Get you a Sabbath to keep it.
Yes.
And even when we were reading about this today, there was a lot of like, God doesn't necessarily need to rest. He did it as an example for us to follow. Like he was like, humans are gonna need to rest. I don't need to rest, but if I don't show you how to do it, then therefore you won't do it. And then there's all sorts of our Jewish brothers and sisters don't play about the Sabbath, huh? Okay, when the sun goes down on Friday, you're in the house. Okay, the seventh day Adventist,
you walk in the temple.
What do you know what I mean? Like they really gonna keep it holy. And I think for Christians, we understand the Sabbath where we don't necessarily go as far as our Jewish brother and sister, but we try to like limit the things that we do, take time to focus on God in a particular way.
Go to church.
But go to church.
I
used to be that person.
Some people, that's what they need.
Yes, it's a structural practice, it's a religious practice, but focusing on God's grace, remembering where all your help come from, okay? And even something as small as like, there's so many examples of Jesus like leaving, right? Like Jesus had rest as a spiritual discipline where he would just leave places and people and just go spend time with the Father. And then that would give him energy, fuel, and
power,
guidance, and power to be able to do the next thing, right? So we get that. Prayer and contemplation of any sort, okay? Again, taking time away from the noise, the crowd, the people, the demands, the things, to get that inner peace, inner stillness, inner well-being, to be able to hear from the divine, whatever the divine means to you. Did you have a personal story about
I
that?
did. You get you a scripture, as the old people used to say. And honestly, during the pandemic,
And
mine
meditate,
was in meditate,
think on
was
it,
Psalms 23.
turn
And
it
I
over in your mind.
still do it every day because you can get overwhelmed. You can get overwhelmed with the things you need, the things that's not going right, the things that you thought were going to go another way. So I'm constantly like, Lord is my
Renewing
shepherd,
your
I
mind.
shall not want. He
Renewing your mind.
maketh me to lie down in green pastures. And as somebody that's, working, I have to say, okay, Lord, I'm going to lie down in the green pasture, whatever that means for that moment. It might just mean getting in the recliner, getting a cool glass of lemonade and putting my feet up for a minute in the middle of the day and like, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to drink this lemonade and I'm going to be quiet. But whatever it is to quiet your soul, you have to see what that is and get into a regular practice of doing it.
And I think a lot of it is also like resting in the fact, literally, that God got it.
Mm-hmm.
That the universe got it. That the ancestors are working on your behalf. I think that's a lot of the like the anxiety comes from not feeling like you who got you,
If I'm not
who
doing it,
got you but you.
yep.
And I think that's a lot of like where the spiritual practices and disciplines come in again to get you to a humble place to be like, homie, you don't have you on the days that you think you really doing something. If we just being 100,
Right.
we don't like to say it like that because we like to feel like, nah, I'm really out here. Like, no, nigga, you're not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not even in the hustle and the bustle,
And the
gang, gang,
grind.
gang. Like, you really don't. So there's some humility in that. Okay, as we moved on to some other spiritual practices, meditation and mindfulness. Meditation we talk about all the time. Mindfulness was really interesting, and these are both sort of out of, we think of them as the Buddhist faith, but like it's all spiritual practices. But anyway, mindfulness is they're talking about in the Buddhist tradition is like literally being aware of what you're doing moment to moment, like daily moment to moment awareness, which we probably are supposed to be doing too, but Christians like to with this stuff. But moment to moment awareness, because as Thich Nhat Hanh said, who is a great Buddhist spiritualist. I know Janae Aiko often talks about like he really be teaching you how to meditate, like at a stoplight, at a traffic light, at a this. They have like a water meditation where as you're drinking water, like really trying to be aware of the fact that you're drinking water. But he has this really great quote that I thought was cool to say: "To be alive is already a miracle," which I was like, shout out to Molly and Johnny Mac. You to be alive is a miracle, and so taking time throughout the day to almost have sort of like a meta experience to be like you're alive, but actually doing some Westworld type stuff to be like, do you ever question the nature of your reality? To take yourself out of the experience, like out of the motions of doing stuff and be like, oh, I actually can drink this. I have the motor skills to lift it up. I have the taste buds to taste this. I can taste the sweetness of this, like really being present in the moment. Um, in Hinduism,
That take a lot of time.
I'm and Buddhists, if Buddhists ain't got nothing else, honey, they got time.
Okay.
Okay, you see it. Even if they whatever they doing, they got time. Um, in the Hindu religion, they talk about resting and openness. So that's again Eastern religions. Okay, they know how to slow it down. That is being present in the moment as well. They also have a lot of practices in terms of like growing fields, tending the gardens, stuff that make you slow down. Exactly what she said. You see how she said it? She said it like it was a cuss word. That take a lot of time, and that's why the Eastern religions know what's popping. Because you Westerners always be out here trying to run around, do 100 million things to prove to God that you down. And he'd be like, can you just come sit down?
Oh, God.
Because I be talking to them. You want to know why? Because they are still enough
to hear
and they're
me.
quiet enough for me to talk to them. So
I really am. I've been working on this for a couple of years. I'm so much better.
So let's just say, let's not.
Still costing me a lot of anxiety, but I'm better.
That's because you're a Westerner. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When you embrace, once you start doing it, you going to go, why in the hell was I doing all that stuff before? But until you get out of the practice of it, it feels very normal. But it is chaotic. It's just crazy. And I'm here to tell you as a person on the other side to be like, once you do it, you be like, yeah, it don't take all that. It really don't. Moving on for all of us who are people who believe in the universe, nature, etc. Okay. Forest bathing. This was news to me. I think I've seen hippies do this in movies, but I didn't know it was a real thing. People will go, and actually is a Japanese tradition. I didn't know how to pronounce the word, so I didn't write it down. But it's a Japanese tradition. This is when those people be bucky naked and they go and they swim in the forest in the river. And it is a very spiritual experience, I imagine.
Oh,
Um,
actually, bathe.
Forest bathing.
I thought
bathing.
just being out in the forest. No,
In
in
the
the water, in the forest.
in the river, wading in the water in the river
Snakes.
to renew your soul. This is why I said the Westerner in me. But if you told me the water was all good, depending on where we at,
that could work.
that's what I said. Depending on where we at, I could be with it. In some places, I'd be like, yeah, nah, bro, because I'm afraid of snakes. So no. Wilderness retreats. I think we're all familiar with this. This is when you go in the cabin, you go up to the woods. I like to sleep in the tent. I enjoy sleeping in the tent. There is nothing like I've slept in the.
Yeah. We haven't done that
in a long time. I love, like, when we were younger. I used to go on. We used to take like family beach trips with my uncle and my auntie. So I like to. They slept in the camper. I like to sleep in the tent. I
slept in the tent with y'all a couple of times.
In the tent on the beach. There's nothing like waking up and hearing the sound of oceans. It's all the fake stuff we do in our house with these sleep sounds. But there's nothing like waking up like literally on campgrounds.
And smelling it.
Hearing the water, smelling the water. Even the times I've gone away for like when we did like high school trips up to Ojai and all of that, like being in those yurts and all of those things, just being in nature and having those retreats to commune with nature, commune with the divine, which if you believe everything is a created thing, you just get to slow down, okay? Yep. Everything is really slowed down. Yep. There's also connected to your internal rhythm, which is a whole practice. That's why people like doing sound baths,
listen to the heart,
sound bowls, all those kind of things. Like literally there's a rhythm for certain things. Looking at cloud patterns, the colors in the sunset, watching the birds fly, anything that really slows you down, okay? I think that is really the key. And gives you to cultivate a sense of presence for yourself, presence of mind of the divine, and gratitude for the world around you at the end of the day, which is really super, super key. And then spiritual rest actually has a lot of scientific, neurological, physical.
Yeah, it changes your brain. And
physiological.
We're big on that brain change around here, right?
So spiritual rest can change your brain in terms of prayer and meditation. There's a lot of prestigious universities, usually white. We won't name their names. But they've done the ones that y'all care about that y'all think are so important. But they've done a lot of studies that find that people who pray or meditate often, they might have like a protective effect on their neural pathways as in their brain. So in certain instances, they found that people who pray and meditate a lot are less physically and mentally ill, less frequently. Like they don't have as many episodes.
There are always
exceptions. We also know people who pray, fast, meditate, read all day, every day, and they be having things going on. And it's people who literally have chemical imbalances, or like literally you're bipolar. You know what I'm saying? Like there are literal, actual chemical things going on in their bodies, right?
Things in
that body. Is as spirituality can help with that, but take your medicine, do the things you need to do, okay? Because that's part of your spiritual rest is doing your mental, physical, emotional, all the other things, right? You got to stop the boxes. And spiritual rest also helps you manage your stress level, your cortisol level, all those things, which are always great for your immune system to calm down
properly. Yeah.
And spiritual rest is really just about stability, man. It's calm for our bodies, our nervous systems, which can have a profound effect on our overall health and our well-being, which is crucial and key. Friends.
So here's something interesting. We tend to think about spiritual rest in terms of relationship to our inner peace or to a higher power. But we don't very often talk about how spiritual rest relates to our relationships with other people. So nurturing our connection to our higher power and then to ourselves should help us better relate to our loved ones. And
ideally.
Yes. And so spiritual rest can help you improve your communication, deepen intimacy, and resolve conflicts. For example, when you're constantly on the go, your fuse is short. And so communication with other people and your loved ones and people that you're trying to talk to can take a turn for the worse. because you're thinking about the 12 million things you think you still need to do. And so your tone, I get this, your tone and the way you say things to people
do you?
and everything can come out like, hey, we need to so and so and so and so. Because in your mind, you're trying to finish that and move on to the next thing. Or as my brother likes to say, I want to put that in my rear view mirror. I don't want to have to keep thinking about that. But that kind of mentality can cause some friction in relationships, quite a bit of friction.
Isn't
So
that not what Gabby Wilson, aka her song Focus, was about? Okay,
yes,
focus on me,
yes,
not all the other things.
So
go ahead.
When you take the time out for your spiritual rest, hopefully you are getting closer to God, your high or whatever your higher power is. For me, that is God. So it is an ongoing dialogue, and I'm asking for wisdom and guidance in the middle of what I'm going through. Um, and 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 for the most part, again, it's kind of like the Lord's Prayer: forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those
who always
trespass against us. So it brings me back personally to a place of, okay, God, if I want you to forgive me for these things that I'm messing up and doing, let me have some more grace to forgive the people that I'm in relationship with for when they do something that I think is
bonkers,
wrong or not the way I would do it or whatever. So it kind of grounds you into looking at yourself and your relationship with God, and then looking at yourself and your relationship with others. And are you extending the same grace that God gives you? Are you extending that same grace to others? And so that can help you listen more clearly, more effectively, more attentively. You're not trying to get your word in before the other person gets finished. You are willing to talk and let that person talk and try and understand each other when you are in a place of rest. So you can connect more deeply with your partners, your friends, your family when you take that time to ground yourself in the spiritual practice that you prefer. Like I said, for me, that's grounding myself and talking to God and going, okay, I see how you did that for me and how you accepted me when I did this, that, and you forgave me for this. So let me see if I can trickle that down.
And sometimes there are pop-off sessions. I'm just going to be 100% with you. Sometimes there are pop-off sessions. Like, God, did you hear how they was talking to me? They was talking to me crazy. Like, don't be afraid. Like, you remember when Kanye was cussing his thank yous to God and people was really mad? And I was like, you can't tell that man how he talks to God. Like, that's their relationship. Like, sometimes you're going to have to look at David. Did David not have full pop-off sessions with God? So don't be afraid of that too, because you might need that. You might need a pop-off session before you can get to the deeper intimacy and the improvement of communication. Like, you got to get down to what's
and this
really
is
mad.
What I love about God.
You're really wrong. What made you
mad?
You
pop off.
The pop-off.
He will let you pop all the way off. He will let you go all the way
pop
out
off
there.
so you can pop out.
And then he will just lovingly bring you back and say,
that's because he's God.
He's God. He's just going to say, okay, I feel you. I understand. I know how you feel, but... And then he'll always remind, how do you think I felt when blah, 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 blah. The Russians, the Romans were making fun of me. Not the Russians, the Romans were making fun of me and this, that, and the other. So,
again, humility, that's all it is. Yeah. Because once you get done popping off, then he's going to be like, can I remind you of something?
Can I? Let me just play a little videotape for you here.
Jumbotron. Yeah. And we'd be like, well, we wasn't really talking about me. And then you realize, dang,
I
need the same grace that the other person needs, because I be doing the same things in different contexts and different scenarios.
So that should help you deepen your intimacy with God and then with the other people around you. If you can listen, get quiet, and listen to what God is saying to you. Be self-aware, be honest with what God is saying to you, and then try to see what chiropractic adjustments need to be made. And I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. Really be honest when you get to that quiet, still place and you hear something. Don't be going, oh, wait, that. If you get all the way quiet, I guarantee you are going to hear something that is going to make an adjustment for you that can make your life better. And so, you walk through these situations, you open yourself to guidance and direction, and then hopefully you can approach any conflict you might have with a spirit of reconciliation rather than retaliation. It's so many times that you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and you just want to win. You just want to get back. You just prove your point. You know, you're not trying to get to the point of like, okay, we're here and this is the best thing for everybody involved. And I think we've seen that a lot this week. I'm just hit this really quickly, but with the DNC and the RNC, when you look at the difference between these two parties, and you might have your whole set of
Everyone has gripes
about both of them, the Democrats and the Republicans or whatever. But at least this week, there has been a sense of joy for most people looking at the diversity of our nation, what our nation they said was supposed to be about.
That's America's problem. Cognitive dissonance.
They said this is what we wanted. They said this is what we created America to be. And so to see it has brought a lot of joy and a lot of peace to a lot of people because it has been about reconciliation, not tit for tat, not throwing stones, not whatever. So hopefully I'm praying.
Although they have thrown some stones.
Okay? Yes, that we can keep going in that direction. But anyway.
Obama's came for Donnie. Okay.
This, I'm telling you, this has been watching the convention has been some spiritual rest for me. Because I'm telling you, 3-4 weeks ago, I was like, it's over, Lord. Where are we moving? And I'm still haven't taken away my moving plan.
Have you a plan? I'm telling you.
But I don't feel as urgently as like, I got to clean out my house because I'm going to have to get out of here by the end of the year. I feel like there's hope that things can be better. And so I know my soul feels better about that particular thing than it did a month ago. So that has been some spiritual rest.
And spiritual rest is also going, it's really all in God's hands. Whatever's going to happen is already happening. And we going to adjust accordingly. And it's going to be all right. One way or the other. Okay. That's the surrendering part that we talking about. That is a big part of the spiritual rests. So spiritual rest is super dope, y'all. At the end of the day, it's a plethora of spiritual practices, activities. Again, the goal is to nourish your soul, though, to connect to your inner self, nature, the world around you, your higher power. And once you're in a state of stillness, okay, you can focus on what matters. You can hear what matters. You can reassess, read some things. Like everything you need is really in you. Okay, if you take the time to really just shut it off, shut up, Mary Warren, for all the other things and really just pay attention. And then when you're in that state of stillness, that's when you receive guidance, power, strength, who to call about the thing, what steps to take to do the thing, who to stop talking to about that. Like there's all kinds of revelation and things.
The answers will come.
The answers that come about how to handle said situations, circumstances, relationships, whatever the things are. And then you also get the tools necessary to relate to others because you're doing better at relating to yourself, relating to the divine, and therefore relating to other people. And that, beautiful souls that watch and listen to Truthful Chats, is how you get to create generational wellness in a nutshell, okay? It starts with you, then it moves to your family, blood or chosen, and then the culture, which for us is a particular culture. But it also just means all of your fellow humans operating and sharing space with you around the world, okay? And spiritual rest, like all the other rests, we're going to continue to reiterate this, is not selfish. It's not overindulgent. It's not, oh, you're doing too much. It's necessary, vital, and beneficial for your overall health. And we just got to thank the Black Queen, Dr. Saundra Dalton Smith, for whatever she did to do the rest.
However she learned this. And I know it was some hard lessons.
She got the spiritual downloads that she needed to pass for the people, and we thank her. So overall, our goal is to keep learning, implementing, relearning, implementing, and integrating all the 7 rests in our Create Generational Wellness journey. And we've had a great time really learning about the 7 rests and challenging ourselves. Like this is definitely something I'm not going to forget, and I'm constantly going to be thinking about. And I think I could say I've implemented.
We have really done it.
Probably, I'll say, even before I knew what they were, though. I just didn't know what they was called. But like these were all things that I feel like I was in some way, shape, or form tapped into. So
I think the one I got into the most that I wasn't into before was sensory. I think
I'd be off the phone, and he already told you. I'd be like, get that thing away from me.
The sensory and the creative, I think those are the 2 where I kind of like realized I need to really pour more in. I need to develop more concrete ways of doing those too.
I have to think more about
The
some
creative.
of the ones I could work on, but
I really
there's
need
a
to work on
there's a
creative.
sprinkle of all of them. Anywho, next month, new topic.
No, we have one more week of
Oh, we do
August,
have
and we have a
one.
guest.
Yeah, so you should be here next week because
For
you know,
sure.
one of our favorite people is gonna stop by. And we're actually this is gonna be about environmental rest. That's what we're gonna call it. This week we add
He
the
is
eighth.
the best.
We add the eighth rest, okay? Because this is probably one of the most zenned out. Just I thought I was good at it, but I'm like Bishop takes this thing to another level, and he's on an environmental how to get your environment rest so you can rest properly. Okay. But you ain't gonna know what we're doing if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel. Follow us on IG, Facebook, fan base. If you're listening to us in the auditory universe, please rate and review, leave some stars, write some takeaways, do some things. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share with the people, man, because we're trying to get this create generational wellness lifestyle popping, and the 7 rests are included in that. And so we got one more week of rest, y'all. One more week of rest before we gear up for fall and everything that comes with it. So, with that, we bid you adieu. Get you some spiritual rest this week, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.